Right now at 6, attempted murder charges for the teen accused of shooting 3 people at a San Jose mall on Black Friday.
We're inches away from murder and a few feet away from a mass murder.
Why prosecutors are pushing to have him tried as an adult, and how the case is putting scrutiny on the juvenile justice system. Plus, king tides flooding streets and huge waves at the coast. We ride along with a rescue crew trying to keep people safe during dangerous beach weather.
If you're not a strong swimmer, it's very easy to just get swept out.
And later,
Robert, you'll never walk again?
we'll introduce you to a former UC Berkeley rugby player using his life-changing journey to give hope to others.
And I got into my walker and did what doctors told me was impossible.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us at 6. We begin tonight with a scary scene in Pescadero this afternoon. Our chopper flew over a water rescue at Bean Hollow State Beach. So you can see first responders on the shore trying to save a man's life. CAL FIRE said a woman and her husband were fishing on the rocks, and when she went to their car, he disappeared. A bystander then spotted a body in the water, and firefighters rushed in to pull him out. The man's condition is still unknown. This comes as powerful waves are bringing dangerous conditions to Bay Area beaches. On top of the rough surf, the king tides are also causing flooding in some trouble spots. Kelsey Thord has more on the high tides and how to stay safe.
It's that time of year again. King tides are hitting the Bay Area, causing headaches for many drivers in the North Bay. In Sausalito, the 101 freeway entrance flooded, as it often does during these tides. Several parking lots near Larkspur Marina were also blocked off due to water in the road. Annie Kohut-Frankel is with the California Coastal Commission. She manages the California King Tides Project, a community science project that documents king tides through the years. She says thankfully this high tide did not coincide with a big storm. But even so, they have noticed an uptick in a certain type of flooding in the Bay Area over the past few years.
We don't just look at flooding that comes over, up and over from the ocean. When we have higher tides, it's also pushing up the groundwater from below. So there are places in the Bay Area that you might see water coming up through manhole covers during king tides. And we do find we're seeing more and more of that, and that's something to watch for.
The king tides come at the same time the San Francisco Fire Department is warning of strong swells, creating an even higher danger of sneaker waves and rip currents at hotspots like Ocean Beach.
So on a normal day, rip currents can drag an adult human in ankle-deep water out. Today, we're experiencing swells over 14 feet at Ocean Beach.
Christy Cassio is one of the firefighters who patrols the beach. She told me on a day like this, they monitor the tides and the public closely.
And we'll just hang out by the beach, see if there's any rip tides, or kind of just watch the swell. And then we're running calls as the day goes.
Christy says most locals know the dangers this beach poses. It's tourists they worry about who come to see this beautiful beach but may not realize the hidden dangers.
The current is really strong. So if you're not a strong swimmer, it's very easy to just get swept out, especially kids that are playing around in the shallows can just get swept out. So yeah, it's definitely one of the most dangerous beaches that I've experienced.
The fire department is recommending people avoid going into the water at all during this period of high swells. They say only very experienced surfers should be okay to venture out.
Try to keep children away from the water, just stay up on the sand, enjoy our beautiful coastline from a remote location. And if you do find yourself in the water in a rip current, swim with that rip current out into the water where we can rescue you away from the coastline.
Meanwhile, Kohut-Frankel is asking people to be a part of the King Tides Project by documenting their local areas and sending photos of the high tides to the commission so they can learn even more about the impact our oceans are having on our environment.
It can be really interesting to just see these seasonal changes in these places that we might visit a lot and really know, to see them looking different.
That beach hazard advisory continues until 10 p.m. tonight. A coastal flood advisory is also in effect for most of the Bay Area. A high-profile shooting in the South Bay is putting the juvenile justice system under the microscope. It's been less than a week since 3 people were shot on Black Friday at Valley Fair Mall in San Jose. Today, prosecutors announced charges against the 17-year-old suspect and filed a motion to have him tried as an adult.
I don't believe that 3 to 5 years in a juvenile facility will rehabilitate this 17-year-old. I don't believe it will.
Our Brad Hamilton explains how transferring the case could mean a more severe penalty and the debate over whether that's the right move.
This morning, the DA announced a number of serious charges, including attempted murder against the alleged shooter. But because the alleged shooter is just 17 years old, the DA is now having to convince a judge to move this to adult court. Outside the juvenile courthouse, Santa Clara County DA Jeff Rosen announced the most severe charges his office could bring against the 17-year-old accused of shooting 3 people at Valley Fair Mall on Black Friday.
A teenager with a loaded gun is incredibly dangerous and must be dealt with severely in order to protect the community.
San Jose police say this all started last Friday night when the teen, who they say was wearing gang-related clothing, walked into the mall with a gun, spotted someone he believed to be a rival gang member, and opened fire, hitting that person and 2 other bystanders. A photo circulating on social media appears to capture the suspect pointing the gun. All 3 victims did survive. The charges filed by the district attorney today included attempted murder, using a gun during a crime, and 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. But Rosen says the fact that anyone could have been killed is why he's now asking a judge to send this case to adult court.
If this case remains in juvenile court, the shooter will face at most 3 to 5 years in a secure juvenile facility. I don't believe that is sufficient.
If the case is transferred to adult court, Rosen says the 17-year-old could face penalties that include up to 15 years in prison if he's convicted.
I believe that part of rehabilitation is accountability. That's how you demonstrate to someone that this behavior is wrong. And letting a 17-year-old, spend a few months or a few years in a juvenile facility doesn't meaningfully demonstrate that this conduct is wrong.
The teen had previously been arrested in February for carrying a loaded and concealed gun and was in a probation program. Legal analyst and former prosecutor Stephen Clark said that likely played a role in why the DA believes this case should be tried in adult court.
The severity of the conduct is so significant, and you have allegations that this young man was in the juvenile system and it didn't work the first time.
But Santa Clara University professor Patrick Lopez Aguedo, who specializes in juvenile justice, says the defense will argue this should stay in the juvenile justice system for the defendant's best chance at rehabilitation if he's convicted.
Typically, juvenile systems have many more resources for diverting youthful offenders away from a lifetime of involvement in the criminal justice system. So there's typically much more programming, many more opportunities that are available.
Both analysts told us that the judge can take weeks, sometimes months, to weigh both sides of this transfer decision. And they say a key factor will be how this 17-year-old behaves from now until that hearing.
He can demonstrate to the court over the next several months while this case is pending, I understand the mistake I made. I want a second chance.
I think that would go a long way in terms of conveying to the judge that there could be potential for an ongoing kind of transformation.
The DA also confirmed that they have filed charges against 3 adults, all who allegedly helped the suspect escape in the aftermath. This includes a 21-year-old woman, the suspect's own brother, and another man. As for the alleged shooter, he will be back in court within the next 2 weeks, but for now he's being held in a juvenile detention center.
An animal rights activist has been sentenced to 90 days in jail in a chicken theft case at a poultry farm in Sonoma County. Zoe Rosenberg was found guilty of trespassing and conspiracy charges. Rosenberg admitted to stealing 4 chickens from Petaluma Poultry. Her activist group, Direct Action Everywhere, released this video of her actually taking the chickens, from the poultry farm in 2023. She argued the chickens were covered in scratches and bruises and needed to be rescued. In addition to jail time, she's also been ordered to pay more than $100,000 in restitution to the poultry farm. San Francisco has a new police chief. Derek Liu brings more than 2 decades of experience with the department to the job. He previously served at the Bayview Mission and Central stations before being promoted to captain of the Ingleside Station in 2022. The next year, Liu was tapped to lead the city's crackdown on illegal drug markets. Then, in May of this year, he was appointed as deputy chief of the Field Operations Bureau, where he oversaw patrols at all 10 SFPD stations. Liu will officially be sworn in on December 22nd. A deadly house fire in San Francisco this afternoon. It broke out just after 2 in the Excelsior neighborhood on London Street. Firefighters say they found a person inside the home when they arrived. They were pronounced dead at the scene. Crews put the fire out about 20 minutes later. Still unclear if anyone was displaced by the fire. Ride-sharing and autonomous vehicles like Waymo, Uber, and Lyft could be allowed to operate on Market Street 24/7. Currently, they're allowed to operate in 7 pickup zones between 5th and 8th Street during limited morning and evening hours. But the SFMTA will consider whether to remove those limits by December 15th. Still ahead here at 6, how neighbors are coming together to remember the lives of 4 young people killed at a birthday party in Stockton. Plus, we'll meet a former Cal rugby player who's beating the odds and inspiring others after a life-altering injury on the pitch.
If there's a 1% chance that I'm going to be able to move my body again, then I'm going to be in that top 1%.
Right now, people are gathering at a candlelight vigil in Stockton to honor the lives lost in violent crimes, including this weekend's mass shooting. The yearly event just so happens to fall on the same week 4 people were killed at a child's birthday party Saturday. 3 of the victims were children. We heard from Kevin with the Victims of Violent Crime of San Joaquin County support group about how the event brings together those who've suffered the same tragic loss.
When you've gone through something that horrific, you think nobody in the world knows how you feel. So you're drawn to others who have gone through something similar. And so they come out, they share their stories with each other, they hear from some officials, and it's just a night of remembrance.
Police are still searching for the suspect or suspects involved in last weekend's shooting. Multiple agencies are offering separate rewards for information, totaling up to $80,000. Former Cal rugby player found a new purpose after he was paralyzed during a championship match. Bella Kundi spoke with him about how he's beating the odds 8 years after that life-changing injury.
I remember I just closed my eyes, I grit my teeth, I feel this god-awful crunch in my neck.
Robert Paylor was playing for a national rugby title with UC Berkeley in 2017 when one illegal move changed everything.
I just had this instinctual reaction to just get up.
But he knew he couldn't. Face down on the field with his chin in his chest, that's Robert at the bottom of the pile. As he was carried off the field,
I really wanted to give a thumbs up because that's what people do.
At the hospital, after every test, X-ray, MRI, and CT scan,
Robert, you'll never walk again. And the battle for my life really began at that point.
But that was a prognosis Robert refused to accept.
My initial thought when I heard those words, honestly, if there's a 1% chance that I'm going to be able to move my body again, then I'm going to be in that top 1%.
Every day was a fight to survive, but step by step, tiny movements became victories.
So I would grab marbles, put them into jars, they'd put down a full deck of playing cards and I would flip them over one by one. Now, was it frustrating? Of course. But this was the task at hand now. This is how I get better.
Movement by movement, each exercise bringing him closer to standing on his own 2 feet.
And I eventually walked out of those hospital doors on April 13th of 2018. I got into my walker and did what doctors told me was impossible.
Nice work, Robert!
3 years after the injury, Robert reached another milestone, walking across the stage at UC Berkeley to receive his business degree.
I remember getting there to the front of the line and I hear my name called, Robert, Jeffrey, Paler, and the crowd is going nuts.
That moment marked the start of a new chapter, turning his challenge into a mission and helping others overcome what paralyzes them.
I wouldn't be able to help people like this if I didn't break my neck.
Now a published author and inspirational speaker, Robert married his wife Carson in 2023, and they're expecting their first child this Christmas Day.
Oh, how wonderful. Robert's hard work certainly paying off. He can now walk over 400 yards with the assistance of his walker. His ultimate goal is to be able to live without needing a wheelchair. All right, December 25th, baby will be born.
Yeah, remarkable progress. Let's take a look at a beautiful post-sunset skies. We looked out from the Mark Hopkins Hotel. The last rays of sunlight have since long faded from the horizon. The sun went down before 5 o'clock this evening. But we are going to see a nice amount of sunshine again tomorrow. Not nearly as much fog for at least a couple days. Details coming up in the First Alert forecast.
I want to get to some breaking news right now. Our chopper is in Fremont, where a car has crashed into an apartment complex. We could see damage to a building. It's right next to a row of cars in a parking lot. Several emergency crews are on the scene. Again, this is on Fremont Boulevard and Nicollet Avenue, and we'll certainly get more information in our chopper overhead. But we'll get some more pictures, and we'll get back to that in just a minute. So, okay, let's get to Paul and our weather, and not as chilly.
Not as chilly today. Temperatures warmed up nicely. We ended up 5 to 10 degrees above average because that offshore breeze stirred the atmosphere around, got rid of the fog and haze that has been really just hanging out. Very hard to budge over the past about 8-9 days or so. Now in the Central Valley, they've really been socked in with the fog. The northern half of the Central Valley, that fog did shrink thanks to the offshore breeze, but the farther south you go, they didn't get rid of it. Some clouds passing through higher up in the atmosphere this afternoon made for a beautiful sunset earlier this evening. We're going to see some more passing clouds tomorrow. The fog is not going to be too much of a factor once again as we head through the day tomorrow. We're going to be seeing a continued improvement in our air quality as well. That got back into the good category for basically the entire Bay Area today. But now that the winds are dying down, some of that smoke from wood-burning stoves and fireplaces kind of settling back down, gravity just drawing it back down to ground level. And by Friday and over the weekend, we're going to be back into the moderate category for air quality across the entire Bay Area. Not likely to get any worse than that, but the longer the stagnant air mass stays in place, the more increases the odds, what I'm trying to say, that we are going to have to deal with the fog and chillier temperatures, especially in the inland valleys of the North Bay and the East Bay as we head through the second half of the weekend and next week. Right now, temperatures are in the 50s across the board. San Francisco is actually the warm spot at 58 degrees, 52 the cool spots in Livermore and Santa Rosa. We'll see a mix of not only 30s and 40s, but some frosty temperatures in some of the valleys by early tomorrow morning, but then we do warm up. Daisy is our dog of the day in the dog walking forecast. Looks like she is ready to go. Got her vest on and everything. Temperatures in Redwood City getting up to around or just above 60 degrees during the afternoon, which is very close to normal for this time of year. That's pretty much the theme of the temperature forecast for tomorrow. Let's take a look at the fog first, which is going to try to spread back in from the Central Valley through the Delta, but not making too much of a push into those interior valleys of the East Bay and really not much at all into the North Bay. And it won't take long once the sun comes up for that fog to start to dissipate. So we should see a nice amount of sunshine. Temperatures early in the day are going to be chilly. Again, a mix of upper 30s and low 40s for most of the Bay Area. Some of the coldest spots as usual, farther inland and in the valleys. Temperatures in the North Bay more likely to dip down into the mid to upper 30s by early tomorrow morning. No frost advisors or anything like that, which aren't usually a big deal unless you're a plant. And then our temperatures are going to warm up from that chilly start. We will end up with highs running pretty much where they're supposed to be this time of year. Everybody within a degree or two on either side of what's normal for this time of year. So mostly low 60s in the Santa Clara Valley and east of the Oakland Hills. Another day with temperatures on the warm end of the spectrum reaching up maybe into the middle portion of the 60s. But for the most part, temperatures are going to be a mix of upper 50s and low 60s. There's one of the warm spots in Healdsburg getting up into the mid 60s by tomorrow afternoon. Absolutely no rain whatsoever in the 7-day forecast. The next hint of rain looks like it's about 10 days away. So we're talking about the end of next week and into the following weekend. But we are going to see a return of the fog. Maybe as early as Sunday, more likely by Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And that's going to have an impact on temperatures, knocking us back down into the 50s on a more consistent basis. Jules?
For those playing the hot cocoa drinking game at home, you said chili 5 times. When we come back, we'll take you to the seaside holiday tradition in the North Bay. As we continue our annual Food for Bay Area Families drive, we want to thank everyone who donated during Giving Tuesday yesterday. Food banks across the region were doubling or even tripling donations, and many of our partnering food banks met their matches. The San Francisco Marin Food Bank was shy of their $500,000 triple match goal. Their donor has graciously agreed to extend their deadline to make that match to midnight tonight. Did you hear that? So just scan the QR code on your screen to give. Every dollar you donate today will provide 6 meals to those in need, and they'll triple it. All right. Holiday cheer has made its way to Sausalito. Right now, Vina Del Mar Park is hosting its annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony. It is complete with a community sing-along as well.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh.
And you can see the crowd. Oh, look at him. He's so cute. Is decked out in festive attire, Santa's hats, red bows, and of course, a gingerbread man and an elf keeping the holiday spirits high. Before we go, we'll get back to that breaking news in Fremont where our cars crashed into an apartment complex. You can see there our chopper was over the area just moments ago. We could see damage to a building that's right next to a row of cars in a parking lot. Emergency crews are on the scene. This is on Fremont Boulevard and Nicollet Avenue. No word on what exactly caused the crash or if there are any injuries. We will certainly have more information coming up at 7 o'clock. Meantime, CBS Evening News is next. Local news continues on our streaming service, CBS News Bay Area. We're back here with that breaking news and much more at 7 o'clock just for you. We'll see you then.